Hi, everybody. As you all start signing in and coming into the webinar, I just want to welcome you to today's webinar from Alaska Center ICE. This is to give you an overview, an informational webinar about the current and just open today Innovation and Entrepreneurship graduate fellowships that we have through Center ICE, supported through a grant from the Office of Naval Research called Rise Up. I'll talk a little bit more about Rise Up and these fellowships, some of the criteria for applications. We've just opened the website up on the Center ICE page, and there'll be a link to that information later on. And then for anybody that is attending that thinks that this would fit them or their colleagues, then this recording will be on the Center ICE YouTube channel later today. So I'll give it another few minutes to let those coming in from other meetings sign in, and then we'll get started. And I just thank you all for coming today. We're in webinar format, so if you've got any questions to me, please use the Q&A, and either myself or Ashley will look to answer it in real time. If not, we'll have it as a general Q&A at the end. But thank you for coming in today, and we'll get started shortly. So just letting those know that are coming in, we'll get going in a minute or two. Today's informational webinar is about our Innovation Entrepreneurship Fellowships that we have through a grant to Center ICE from the Office of Naval Research called Rise Up. That's a collaboration with Rhode Island and Hawaii. And you'll learn a little bit more about the program, the fellowship, and the project. And then I'll go through some of the criteria for the applications. And people are welcome to ask questions through the Q&A, and myself and Ashley, who's here as part of the Center ICE team, will look to answer those in real time, and if not, we'll bring them to the wider group as a question to be answered at the end. So right now we have 5 calling in online, myself and Ashley as the organizers, and as I said, we'll be putting this on YouTube for those for those here listening to watch afterwards and make notes if there's something you miss, and also for you to share with the others in your program, other students that you're working with, connected with your advisor, so others in your college, department or institute can be aware of these opportunities that we have to support graduate students as part of their degree program. So, okay, so I'm going to get going, appreciating people's time and for those to be here on time. So thank you for coming here today. My name is Peter Webley. I'm a program manager at the Alaska Center for Innovation, Commercialization and Entrepreneurship, and I'm going to be going through this fellowship program we have available for graduate students, and also a little bit more about the context of this fellowship is part of this larger Rise Up grant that we've received from the Office of Naval Research with, as I highlighted in the introduction, Rhode Island and Hawaii. So before we get going, I want to acknowledge the Alaska Native Nations ancestral lands upon which our campuses reside. For those in Fairbanks, our Trothieta campus, which you see the picture here, is located on the ancestral lands of the Dene people of the lower Tanana River. And I would appreciate us all to recognize the Alaska Native Nation lands upon which we are based today, and for those listening in online, and for those ancestral lands. So Alaska Center ICE, that is the lead organization for this project, has been around for about 6 years now and is focusing on supporting innovators and entrepreneurs in all aspects, from educational training to advising on funding opportunities, to market analysis, to commercial opportunities, to collaborating, to networking, really as a focal point to support those in the academic environment, whether they be students, faculty or staff, in the opportunities that the broader impact that they can generate and build upon from their academic research. I myself have been at the university since the fall of 2005. I'm now a research professor. My sort of everyday work in parallel to Centre ICE is unmanned vehicle research. And I've been part of the intellectual property aspects of the university since I started my company in 2013. We did some SBIR research and also some consultancy work as part of that company. But since 2013 to 2017, I was collaborating with the Technology Transfer Office, and then have been part of its team since then, moving up to be its director in 2020. And really, I also run our innovation training program and our summer Students to Startups program, putting students interacting directly with startup companies in Alaska. I'm part of a team. You'll see some of these individuals when you attend Centre ICE events, or you get emails from them relating to the newsletter or upcoming programs. So just wanted to share the pictures of those individuals that are part of Centre ICE. If you see them around the Troth Theatre campus, or you see them presenting at an event, who they are. So we've got Mark Billingsley, who's the director of Centre ICE and OIPC, and other individuals, David Park next to him. And then each individual on this graphics here shows is either part of Centre ICE or collaborating with Centre ICE. So all of these individuals you may see around the campus. So if you do, then please say hi, and obviously they'll be able to answer other questions about Centre ICE and the programs that we have. And we have these 9 sort of steps or 9 aspects of what we provide, and we put them all together in something called the Alaska or the Innovation Accelerator. And this is a sort of accelerating research into opportunities, accelerating research into stakeholder discoveries, and Centre ICE's programming really focuses around this design, build, and launch capacity. But today I'm going to be talking about Rise Up and these fellowships, which are a component of this sort of innovation accelerator that we've developed and grown at Centre ICE. So what is Rise Up? Resilient, innovative, sustainable economies via university partnerships. And this is a collaboration between University of Alaska Fairbanks, so representing Alaska, University of Hawaii Office of Innovation and Commercialization, University of Hawaii in Manoa, and University of Rhode Island's Research Foundation. So the 3 states together are supported, each with their own project, but running parallel programs, focusing on similar individuals, whether it be student, collaborative faculty fellows, ideation studios, and on research growth. But the focus is together building up innovative economies using these partnerships, collaborating not only between the 3 institutions represented, but also the partners in those states. And the point of contact at UAF is Mark Billingsley, Director of Centre ICE, and I'm here today talking about the program and these graduate fellowships. So there's sort of 3 goals focused around Rise Up. One is developing an innovation ecosystem with Department of Defense partners. We have some collaborators already that we're working with at Centre ICE, and we're looking to expand that and those collaborations both in Alaska and with those DoD partners with Rhode Island and Hawaii. All 3 states have a blue economy or ocean economy focused research. So that was an area where the Rise Up project is aiming to develop and build capabilities. So these might be dual use technologies. These might be solutions to potential DoD needs, but also to commercial needs outside the Department of Defense environment, using the expertise and the research opportunities that we have here. So fellows supported through the graduate program here would also be connecting and collaborating with graduate fellows at the other universities in Rhode Island and Hawaii. And really to build up the skills and training available to our students for this particular fellowship, as we look to expand the workforce of tomorrow, and the students either continue in academia or transition out of academia into the private sector or into a federal, state, or local position. They've then got the new skills and the capabilities to be ready for and to work for the companies and the organizations of tomorrow. So we've got 4 components. One of them is an academic class called Innovation for Alaska and the Arctic. That's currently running at the undergraduate level, but we're looking to expand and build upon that for the fall of 2023. Faculty fellows, and this is something that will be spinning out from Rise Up fairly soon, supporting faculty members in building out the capabilities and their skills, and also how to develop out the research that they're performing. the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Graduate Fellowship, which I'll be talking about today, and then Ideation Studio, which focuses on all aspects of STEM to STEAM, and collaborates and brings together interdisciplinary teams in a common space with a common goal of building out skills and capabilities for the solutions of tomorrow, whether they be community solutions, business solutions, or DoD solutions. So what is the fellowships that I've been highlighting in the emails that you've got, the website that's now out there, and the opportunities to support graduate students in the pursuit of their studies. So this is on a funding opportunity that we've got as part of the project to broaden the skill set of graduate students at, in the University of Alaska Fairbanks in innovation and entrepreneurial capacity. So this will be, there will be some training involved as part of this, not only just the research and development of your technologies, your projects towards a potential commercial opportunity or a DoD interest, but also to be successful if you decide that pursuing a startup is the direction you would like to go. So this is going to be how to build out the value proposition, how you understand stakeholder needs, who are the partners to make this happen, what is venture capital funding, how do you pitch to a funding opportunity that may be outside the traditional research angles, but also develop a cohort of students to be able to move forwards and understand the innovative entrepreneurial opportunities, not of only their research, but of other researchers in their group and potentially their faculty advisors. And it would be great if we can transition those to high growth companies, but also if we can just move those forwards into opportunities of dual use development that can both be of benefit to the state, the inventors themselves, society in general, and the DoD partners that we are looking to collaborate with. So I note here that I have the details of the number of students, and we're working on that at the moment, which is why I was hoping to include that today, but I haven't got the details. But we do have up to 7, and we may have more. We're right now just determining how many we can support. And we do have, we haven't yet confirmed the number for the fall, but we're talking about at least 5 and maybe more students that we can fund for the summer semester and beyond to basically develop out their research project. It can be around their research thesis or their graduate thesis or their graduate work. It can be in parallel to that. It could be research that is going on with their faculty advisors or others in their research laboratory or their research group. And it's to assess the entrepreneurial opportunity. Maybe it's a commercial opportunity, maybe it's a community solution, but really just to build up the skills and allow those students to be supported to transition their academic research into an opportunity beyond the university environment, the broader impact of that academic research. So for the eligibility, the students must be full-time and graduate students enrolled in a PhD or a master's at one of the 3 institutions and be in good academic standing. They're expected to have formed a graduate advisory committee, so we are looking at students that are somewhat into their degree program, and having a graduate study plan, because obviously we are looking to provide tuition and stipend and funding. So therefore, how does the support that we're going to provide impact and work towards their graduate study based on the classes they've taken, where they are towards their comprehensive exams, and where they are towards the final graduate program, and are expected to be based in the state of Alaska during the funding period, because that's logistically easier on being able to interact one-to-one or in person with students going through the fellowship. We have an eligibility documentation on our website. So if you go to the Centerize website and to the Rise Up tab, you'll be able to see all of this information in detail. But we have some specific sections that we're looking to have completed. One focuses around the research summary. So what is the work that you will be performing as part of this project and this fellowship? How does this align with innovation entrepreneurship, and how this might be developing to a specific need or problem that you see from the research you're working on? What is the timeline to complete the work in a summer and or fall, so we can assess the applications based on the available funds that we have, and how you might assess the project's success, what might be the risks, and what might be a way to work with us at Centerize or your faculty advisor or others in your laboratory to reach some outcomes. what might be experience that you have in innovation and entrepreneurship, or training that we can provide that we have available that you can see on the Centerize site might be able to help support your research. So if you are somebody new to the innovation entrepreneurship opportunities, then please just highlight how you feel that innovation and entrepreneurial training would be of benefit to you. Those that have had it, we're always willing, this section we'd love to hear in this section about the experience you've had, whether it be at UAF, within the UA system, or in your undergraduate institution. A section on how this funding will benefit your career and support of your studies, and where to include, this might be where you include information about how your work supports others in your group. Details about your research experience, your graduate study plan, so you can submit that as part of the PDF scanned documentation, or where you may not have had one, and what your submission plan is for a study plan. Then the two-page resume. So applicants are asked to provide this, focusing on their background, some of their outreach aspects, examples of extracurricular activities, and then also submit this through a Google form. So the Google form has some specific details that are required as part of this submission, and also would allow you to upload a PDF. So a question from an anonymous attendee: if a student has completed coursework and comps and is now ADP, is half-time enrollment sufficient? I will have to clarify that question on the half-time enrollment. And confirm we have it, that it is full-time, but I will confirm if that is allowed. Perfect. So I don't know the answer right now, but I will confirm that afterwards. So thank you for that question. So completing all of this and submitting it as a PDF, the online Google form will require some additional information for you to complete. So this allows us to be able to collaborate and connect with the graduate school, because obviously we'll be funding you as a graduate student. Specific formats of the submission just makes it easier for us when we're collecting all of the submitted proposals to be able to, that everybody follows the same format, including information about the applicant and their location and what the fellowship you're applying for. Again, it makes it easier for us when we're pulling them all of these info together. And the submission deadline for your application is a month from now. So that's Friday, February the 17th, by 11:59 AK Alaska time. And by using the Google form, we'll be able to determine when a submission was submitted. We do have the requirement for a letter of reference. So this would be from faculty sponsor, mentor. So this would be somebody who's the head of your graduate committee, somebody that's in your graduate laboratory, somebody who might be a committee member. So this is, you can see here that there's specific aspects that need to be included in that letter, and the letter needs to be submitted separately by the faculty sponsor and advisor, and that also has to be submitted by the deadline of February the 17th, 11:59. So an anonymous question is: are incoming fall 23 students eligible? If so, so right now we're having it as existing students. We do have a second year for this project. So therefore, this time next year, we would have the ability to support students that start in the fall of 2023. But at the moment, the current fellowship setup, because we've got summer and fall, is that we want students already in the program that would be submitting for the current year. But it's not wouldn't stop those applying this time next year if they are if they're eligible and have come into the program in the fall of 23. And then for the reference letter specific format again, and all of this information is in the eligibility documentation on the Centerize website. What are some of the expectations? Well, if we're funding a student full-time for the summer, then and 20 hours a week, including tuition for the fall, then there are specific aspects of it. We will be having some training that we're developing at the moment that will be sort of weekly interactions with Centerize and others on the Rise Up project. What is the timeline of the funding? So thank you for that question. So the funding is to start from the beginning of the summer semester. So the aim is to be able to get reviews and responses back to students as soon as we can, and we have some timelines of when that will happen. So therefore students are able to confirm with their advisors that they would have funding for the summer, and we can then work with the graduate college at UAF to be able to get that into the system, so you can start getting funding from the beginning of the summer. So the timeline is that applications due in a month, and that gives us the time to review, get input back to those who are successful and those who are not, and therefore we can work on making sure that you can start the work as soon as the summer semester starts. So there is some additional requirements. We have a innovation training program that will be part of this fellowship as well. And by partaking in that, you'll also be able to get some additional travel funds to be able to go out and perform customer discovery. We have some technology transfer experts at Centre ICE, and that will include meeting with them to discuss about the entrepreneurial opportunities that you're developing. Attending and working with some of our undergraduate students in the Students of Startups program, and there'll be specific events during that summer internship program with those students where you as graduate students will be looking to attend. So how long would the fellowship be active for? So we have by semester, but it is a continuing grant. There's at least next year as well. So we haven't yet determined if those applying once can apply again. But it is at least for 2 semesters, so that you can apply for the summer of 23 and the fall of 23 right now. And then we'll be working as a team to determine if we're able to bring in additional previously funded individuals, because you'd have to highlight what you're going to do and based on the results of your first proposals and first fellowship. But it's at least 2 semesters right now, and there's potential for it to expand and grow. And then we have some deadlines in terms of when to submit progress reports and then a final report. So that's really just to highlight what the fellowship eligibility is and what the fellowship is there for. There is that section on research summary, so you'll be highlighting what you're going to do, what projects you've got that you're proposing to be running through the fellowship, what entrepreneurial direction you'd like to take this, whether it's a technology you've developed or you're working on developing a solution that runs in parallel with your academic degree. But as part of this fellowship, you'd not only be connected with others going through it, you'd also be connected with parallel programs that we have at UAF as part of Rise Up. So as I mentioned, we have this undergraduate course that is starting this week, where we have students starting in the honours program but expanding across the university, focused around this process, that mission model canvas. So this is a process of entrepreneurial innovation that goes on is used in the Department of Defence, where these students will be working with not only local innovation teams but the National Security Innovation Network. As part of the fellowship, you'd be connecting with these students as they're transitioning out. It may be that you want to continue connecting with those, and there will be an edition of this course in the fall as well. And one example is this lean launch process and canvas, where you define your value proposition in the middle, you determine who is your business or who is your research targeted at and your solution targeted at. You look to define what is the problem that you're looking to solve, what might be the solution that you're looking to develop, what are the channels of communication, why is your team and your project most advantageous and better than what else is out there, and what are the metrics to measure success. So this Lean Launchpad process, the mission model canvas, the business model canvas, these are different tools that you will learn about as part of this fellowship, so you can determine and assess the value proposition, the project that you're bringing to the table, and how it actually can be developed and built out to be the most success and produce a solution to the need of the stakeholder. We have this Faculty Fellows program. And another question. So the question was, funding compromises, how it breaks down, what is there in terms of stipend on top of the tuition waiver. So the funding allows us to pay graduate students full-time over the summer, and it allows us to pay graduate students for 20 hours a week during the term semester and tuition for that semester for a full-time student for 9 credits. We're working out the number that we're able to fund, and we'll update that information on our website. But I wanted to get this webinar out there and get people aware of the opportunity. And then we'll be updating a little bit more information soon in terms of the numbers of students. But it is full funding for the summer and or full funding for the semester, full semester plus full tuition at 9 credits. And obviously that will be 9 research credits to be able to allow you to fully develop your time to the project. For the Faculty Fellows Programme, the point of contact at UAF is Madara Mason. This is in parallel to some of the other fellowships that have been developed in collaboration with the Faculty Development Accelerator. And again, this is for faculty researchers to build out a collaborative network of colleagues, look at the motivating factors for the entrepreneurial aspects of that faculty research, and to transition this entrepreneurship culture into the education and research at the university, applying some of the techniques that you just saw me mention. So if you know of faculty researchers that you're working with, or others that are in your research group that are colleagues of your advisor, then please let them know about this opportunity, and they can get in touch with Madara to learn more about those faculty fellows. This is the fellowship, and this is one of the 4 aspects of the Rise Up project. So you'll be learning this, the lean methodology and business model methodology, performing and understanding how to transition your research into commercial opportunities, connecting with not only those Alaskan entrepreneurs, but others across the United States, developing potential projects and research that can have commercial venture, and collaborating with those institutions in Hawaii and Rhode Island. And then the 4th aspect of that is something called the Ideation Studio. And Madara Mason and Mary Beth Lee are the leads within the UAF for this aspect of the project. And this is really to bring together interdisciplinary teams to look at real world challenges, and following this design thinking approach of focus, ideate. And with time, as you go through those steps, you eventually work towards a solution that is a must-have solution to the need of that community member, that particular industry or that stakeholder. Part of this is going to be building out the innovation tools, understanding how to pitch on ideas to those outside the traditional academic streams, and really just build up the capacity and the capabilities of the university to be successful in transitioning this research into commercial opportunities. So how do they overlap? So the sort of Ideation Studio is the venue for all of this to happen. The Innovation Fellowships and the Innovation for Alaska class are the first 2 aspects that we're moving forwards with this Rise Up project. The Faculty Fellows will be starting off soon. Each of them has an overlap. So you can see here that Faculty Fellows can provide problem sets for this undergraduate class now and into the future. Then on the overlap between the Faculty Fellows and the fellowship, graduate students who are getting supported from the fellowship will be in labs where Faculty Fellows are based. So you've got this dual interest where you've got the faculty members getting supported and along with the students themselves. Then the overlap between the fellowships and the class is the outcomes from this undergraduate class now and into the future could be then projects that graduate students work upon, as those undergraduates are in the same laboratories and the same research groups as the graduate students working with their faculty. And then all together are using this Ideation Studio and these ideation events to transition their research into solutions for the community, whether the community be a physical community, a industry, or a DoD stakeholder. And why, or where does this, I should say, where does this fit in this sort of innovation pipeline? So these fellowships are a way to seed while students are pursuing their degrees, to turn sort of user-based research into discoveries for the community. So one part of it, as I mentioned, is this innovation training program where you're performing stakeholder interviews with the end users for what you're developing, and you're understanding their needs and what are their pains to see whether your research project you're developing is a must-have for them or just a nice-to-have. Then you're potentially going and finding out what are those specific needs, what currently exists out there, so you can develop a better value proposition and a better solution to their needs. You then go and innovate on those ideas. You potentially build out a prototype. Then you can go and test that prototype, and then you can go and assess and determine that into a multiple user solution. But each time you're going back into this step and going, well, I developed a prototype. What did I learn? I need to go and talk to the stakeholders, the end users again, and determine if my original prototype, my original solution is the right fit. So each time you're going back and looping back into this system to in the end, seeding a researched and developed product that he's then got dual use capabilities, whether it be DoD or external to the Department of Defense, commercial or community-based solutions. So with the fellowship program, we are connected, as I said, to Hawaii and Rhode Island. So on the fellowship program, they have students running in parallel programs. So as part of this fellowship, you will interact with those students and those leads of those programs. So this is potential to collaborate on equivalent research projects in similar research areas, pitching your ideas and pitching your research to students in those other degree programs, having a showcase together as a group which highlights the outcomes of the research, building out this growth mindset between yourselves and the other students in the fellowships, building new skills. The fellowship itself is going to broaden the impact of the research that you're performing and those within your research lab. And it's going to help you to connect on potential follow-on funds that exist within federal agencies. We have some parallel projects that focus on federal assistance, and it may well be that what you're developing could be ready for a follow-on larger research grant beyond your graduate studies. So before I jump into the last section of my presentation today, because we've got another 20 or so minutes of this hour, does anybody else listening in have any other questions relating to the fellowship, the Rise Up project, and the application in general? Okay. If not, then please do bring anything up that you think of in the next 20 minutes or so in the Q&A. But what I also want to bring to your attention today is some of the other opportunities that we have in Center ICE that by being part of this fellowship, you would then get connected to, hear about, learn from our staff members and our program leads, and see how you could continue to be part of this pipeline beyond the length of the fellowship, whether it be the summer and or the fall. So we have seed funding. Several of you that I know that are here today have received this, but this could be beyond your graduate programs to receive some follow-on seed funding to further develop your project, further develop your research project. This can be done in parallel with your advisor, in parallel with others in your lab. You could work with staff members, you could work across the university, across our colleges, and really help you to further grow the research and development inside your project to be ready for an opportunity outside the academic environment. So here's one example of a seed-funded project. This is the research faculty member, part of the College of Fisheries and Ocean Sciences, but based in Juneau. And she was looking at the mariculture industry in the state of Alaska and saw that there was a need from end users for a site assessment kit for the best way to test and evaluate the best location for mariculture and kelp production. So the researcher developed this kit, saw that there was a great need for it, ended up collaborating with a company on further growth of this, and then together this company and this researcher are looking at the small business technology transfer opportunities to actually expand and scale up this kit as a tool for kelp farmers to look for and assess the most susceptible place for the greatest kelp growth. Another example that you can get connected to is some of the design thinking and ideation going on in some of our undergraduate classes. So this is mini grants for support that we have through the Teaching Through Technologies program based out of the College of Engineering and Mines at UAF. And this might be where you would be interested in finding other students, undergraduates, to work with you in the future as you look to expand upon your graduate studies. And again, if you've got some small projects that you would have some students interested in working with you on it, you can propose those to the Teaching Through Technologies team and the Makerspace team, and then they can look to get undergraduates to help work on those. I mentioned the Innovation Core program. This is going to be running in parallel to the fellowship, and you'd be able and would be part of the fellowship, which is to go through this program with your project. And this is funded from our side at the National Science Foundation, but it's actually part of a much larger funding opportunity that exists within federal government, whether it be NSF, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, and other federal agencies. They have these innovation training programs to prepare and build research capacity and capabilities so they can understand the stakeholder need, the customer need, the end user need as they look to build out their research that can then transition into either commercial opportunity or transition from an academic environment to the industry, where the academic is then a parallel part of the project along with the industry member. As part of that program, we funded a number of different groups, whether they be outside the university or inside the university. So we can see a number here, including several that are managed and owned by University of Alaska Fairbanks graduates. And one example here from a student from 2021, when she went through the ICORE program, is that she'd done her senior design project. And she took that senior design project and then went out and spoke to individual users in the search and rescue industry, both state representatives and external companies, on what are their needs for the developed technology that she and her team had produced, which was a collapsible backboard. As a result of those interviews, not only did they learn the size of which they needed to make the backboard to not impact the equipment that the search and rescue individuals were carrying, but also the individual, Abigail, learned some new skills on how to listen to and empathize with the end user. So rather than saying, hey, here's the cool solution we've developed, was to find out what they needed, to listen to their issues, to listen to their problems. And as a result of the skills that Abigail learned going through the ICORE program, she now uses those in her everyday employment now that she's graduated from the university. She spends a lot more time sitting down and listening to the end users before she proposes a final project solution. So she can tailor her skills to their needs and build out something that is both engineeringly beneficial, but also beneficial to the end user, something that she learned by going through the ICORE program. You would be connected with the Intellectual Property Office at UAF and be able to assess the entrepreneurial opportunity from your research along with your own research that you'll be performing under the fellowship, and to discuss with the group on the potential of the patents proposals that might come from your research. By working with the office and disclosing the work that you perform, you would also be eligible for some of our Ideas Awards, which focus on and recognize entrepreneurial individuals who develop innovative approaches to teaching, research, and service over the last fiscal year. And here we see from earlier in 2022, the winners of the three graduate, faculty, and best overall disclosure from the 2021 to 2022. And you can see in the middle the mariculture site assessment kit that I was mentioning. I highlighted earlier about being part of this fellowship. You would also be connected to some of our other programs. One of those is known as the FAST program, Federal and State Technology Partnerships. And you would learn what is available in terms of funding opportunities from these agencies, how to be most effective if you're looking to apply for these, learn how to write applications to these types of funding agencies, and be prepared such that if you then transition from these fellowships to follow-on funding, you're best prepared and more resilient in the applications when you see a request for proposals. And the final one is we have a summer-based Students to Startups program. For this summer, for those that are supported under the fellowship, you would be connected to this group, but running in parallel. So these are traditionally undergraduates. We have supported a master's student, and they're working directly with startups in Alaska. And as part of the studentship program, they attend what we call informational events on different aspects of entrepreneurship. And as part of this fellowship, you'd come to some of those events, interact with those startups, hear from these startups, the ones that are selected to attain interns, and get to see the startup environment and the small business environment in the state of Alaska. So we have supported over the last 4 years, and we'll be going to 5th year, 21 companies and 36 interns. And you see here on the left, the companies that we supported last year. And obviously, as part of your fellowship, when you interact with this summer program, you get to see and learn about all the types of companies that have developed and grown out of Alaska from different industries. Again, allowing you as part of the fellowship, not only to expand upon your research and the commercial and entrepreneurial opportunities of that research, but also what it takes to potentially spin that out into a startup company. We also, for those that are interested, we have an even earlier stage opportunity for entrepreneurship. So Startup Weekend is managed by an organization called Techstars, and we are going to be running Techstars Startup Weekend Fairbanks, actually the weekend of the 17th to 19th. So just after you submit your application and you're interested in continuing part of the ideation process, then we have a weekend-long innovation event based at UAF on the Trotheada campus. So if you're interested in being part of this even earlier stage, you've got this new wonderful idea you want to have a team work together on and help and support you in building this out, then please do reach out to the Alaska Fellow at Center ICE, Ashley Guernsey, whose email is on here. And she'd be able to get you looped in with the event, whether you want to be on the organizing team or just be an attendee and you can bring along some friends and colleagues, then we'd love to hear from you as we continue to build out this event. And then the other area that's part of this fellowship, but is also a growing collaboration, is our interactions with our Department of Defense colleagues here in the state and the National Security Innovation Network, that it's a National Department of Defense program. So we've been connected with the Arlson Air Force Base Innovation Team, ICORE Spark, for the last 3 years or so. It's included multiple visits to the base to interact with those officers and with those personnel, and they're looking to build up local innovation opportunities to spin out solutions that can be rapidly implemented into the operational settings of Arlson Air Force Base. So part of the fellowship will also be interacting with those individuals and learning more about how your research could fit into their needs. And then also we have the National Security Innovation Network. We have a visit of one of their regional directors later this month, and we're looking to build connections with this program on how to be able to expand the capabilities we have here in Alaska and at UAF, and how we can help to support people like yourselves that are applying for this fellowship to be able to expand the opportunities for you and for your research project. So how to connect generally through the Center ICE events? Well, we have this seed fund, and you could apply throughout the year. We have the ICORE program. We have a spring cohort, but if you apply for the fellowship and it's successful, then you will be joining the summer cohort. We have ICE Jams, which are these monthly get-togethers. Today is one, and there's another one on February the 3rd, if you know of others that are interested in our summer-based student program. Startup Weekend, I mentioned about that. That's coming February 17th to the 19th. And then the timeline for our summer internships for those of you that know undergraduates that you're working with. But probably the most interesting for you all is the timeline for the fellowships. So the webinar is today. The recording of this will go into our YouTube channel. So if you want to catch up on any information, make any notes from anything that I've said, then that'll be uploaded later today. The application's technically open this morning. We have the website live for submissions. We have a month plus the end of that day. So February the 17th at 11:59 p.m. Alaska time, and there's a bit.ly link there for that. Letter of reference is due at the same time, and there's a bit.ly link for the reference as well. Our aim is by mid-March, so 3 weeks after the submission, to inform applicants of whether they've been successful. And the aim then is due to the timing of when graduate study plans for the upcoming semesters are due, and that students that are supported would start in May, so the summer semester, going forwards through the whole summer and or the fall, depending on your interest and what you're proposing to do and the timeline to complete that. So that's it from us at Center ICE for today. You can find out more information on the bit.ly Rise Up AK website that you see there on the reach out to us. You can email myself or Ashley or the Center ICE email at any time with more questions. But if you just type in Alaska Center ICE UAF, there is a Rise Up tab and more information about the project, this fellowship, links to the YouTube recording and all of the application details, what you need to submit, where the reference letter needs to go, and everything relating to this fellowship opportunity. But on that note, I will see there's another question. If we have summer funding already, can we push to fall or spring? So yes, obviously what you'd be doing in the application is you'd be saying that you'd be looking for fall rather than summer funding. And then you would just put a timeline in the timeline describing what you would be performing in that time frame. We haven't yet opened up spring of 24, and that would then be information that we'd be sharing later this year. So in response to that question, you would then state that what your timeline was and that you weren't looking for summer, but you were looking for fall of 23 as part of your funding. And obviously you'd state justifying sort of the timeline that you'd be working on during that semester from whatever that is, mid-August to mid-December. So hopefully that answers the question online. Okay, is there any other questions from our attendees today? What I will do is I will also make sure that this slide deck is also added to the Rise Up website. So therefore you'll have all the web links and the QR codes and everything. So you'll be able to get to the information easier. And also it'll be a reference PDF for any information. But I would say to anybody listening today or afterwards is just read up the information on the opportunity and reach out. You've got a month before the deadline. And be happy to talk with you more about your project idea, what you'd be looking to do, the timeline that you have, and how you might be able to apply for the opportunity. But we're always interested to see applications. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you know of others in your group or your program that this might interest, then please do share the information on our website, and they can read all about the application process, the eligibility, the funding opportunity, and this webinar. So otherwise, I'll give you all back about 15 minutes of your day. I wish those listening in, thank you very much for coming. And for those following on YouTube, then just don't hesitate to email out. So thank you everybody for listening in today. And if there's no more questions from the audience, we can wrap it up and enjoy the rest of our Tuesday.